Hello everybody, I hope wherever you're watching us from, you're having a great time. This is AfriPost and welcome to today's video. Now we know that the election fever pitch in the United States is currently running as hot as the Olympics that is happening in Paris. And one thing that is there is that every political contender is trying to take advantage of every situation that presents itself. We know that the Democrats in America decided to switch up their candidates from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris. And this has elicited a lot of discussions between supporters of Donald Trump and supporters of the presumptive Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. Now, there is one thing that is happening in the United States that I would want us to really talk about here. We know that just the other day, there has been this complaint of the death of one Sonya Massey, a black mother who was mercilessly killed in cold blood by a rogue sheriff deputy. And this has caused a lot of storm within the American political system, especially for those who are talking about police brutality and the need for defunding police who are engaged in such kind of things. So there is this white guy who came up on TikTok and started using this situation to kind of put a smear campaign against Kamala Harris. And this was not received well by black community. So I want you to listen to him talking about Kamala Harris and referring to her as a cop who should not be elected. Then listen to how both black and white community responded to him on TikTok. Let's watch this, then come back and talk about it more.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the cop, you're not voting for the cop. And you need to vote for the cop because it's the cop's turn to be president. Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the...
Did you know you can talk about all of these things without throwing a black woman under the bus? You can literally talk about all of these things and not do Trump's work for him. But no, you would rather weaponize black trauma to further your own narrative instead of considering the fact that multiple things can be true at the same time. But instead of making defunding the police a condition to earning your vote, you would rather reduce Kamala Harris to a cop and compare her to a white man, a white cop that murdered a black woman. Now, I don't know about you, but something about that seems racist.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the...
Yeah, I'm angry about the murder of Sonya Massey too. But in my opinion, using that anger as an opportunity to discourage people from voting for Kamala Harris is not the play. Bottom line, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act had provisions in it that could have prevented Sonya Massey's death, provisions that created a database of bad cops and punish police departments that hire those bad cops. And the cop who murdered Sonya Massey worked for 6 different police departments in 4 years and had 2 DUIs. He would not have been hired under the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. That act is being blocked by Republicans. The only way we get it passed is by electing Democrats across the fucking board.
And if you don't vote for the cop, you're not voting for the cop.
And don't talk about your privilege or superiority out loud, because you have the privilege and superiority to do that. Let's not talk about our cognitive dissonance right here. It's privilege. I don't know what's grosser, the fact that you decided to use the brutal murder of yet another black woman as a way to somehow pit women of color and black women against each other, or the fact that you are trying to shame a community who's trying to vote for their survival. And the passing of yet another black woman is perfect reason to highlight why we need to vote for survival. And it's also really weird that you're just categorizing Kamala as a cop. I could have sworn that when people leave jobs that they're called former cop. Just like, you know, you were formerly relevant somewhere at some time at some point, right? Not so much anymore. Instead, you're yet another white leftist being tone deaf, ignorant, callous, and quite frankly, embarrassing. You will be better immediately. Immediately. You should probably take this video down. You're not going to, because privilege. But just a word of advice from a black woman who's never been a cop, but I still will vote for the former cop.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the...
You don't. You don't. And there are going to be people who tell you, especially if you're white, that if you're not voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, that you're racist. And if voting for a non-white presidential candidate was enough to make a white person not racist, then every white person who voted for former President Barack Obama would already not be racist. And we're still racist for a myriad of other reasons, and we're going to be for the rest of our lives. Right? That's something we're going to be actively working against forever, or at least we should be. As white people, particularly white Americans, I mean, I'm sure it's true about white people in other places, but I'm a white American, and we have been conditioned generationally to thrive off of the murder, mistreatment, dehumanization, stripping of identities from black, brown, indigenous people, and people of color. The intention for malice, the presence of hatred or disdain in our hearts is not necessary because it's coming from such a deeply conditioned, generational place. It's something that we always have to be aware of and actively working against. We must be humanizing these people in our minds, even black, brown, indigenous people and people of color we don't necessarily like or agree with, because there is no room for racism. And we are human beings. So we're not gonna catch it 100% of the time. It's inevitable that even the best of us, it's gonna come out. And we need to accept that right away and be open to the possibility that without realizing it or without intending to, we've done the thing. So that when it's pointed out to us, we can be like, you're right. What I should have said was this, that, and the third. And then move on. Truth be told, I don't know you, but I don't see you doing that, and I think that's a shame. Vice President Kamala Harris is not a cop, nor has she ever been a cop. She was a district attorney, and cops and district attorneys are two entities that are frequently at odds with one another. They're not the same. Calling a district attorney a cop is like calling a doctor a certified nurse's assistant. You could become a cop in less time than it takes for you to become a licensed barber, and going from law school to district attorney was probably a decade or more out of this lady's life. And now, you're a white man, however you feel about it, in the most public place on earth, associating a woman who is at a higher risk of experiencing unjust and unlawful police brutality and use of lethal force from the same entity that you're associating her with than you would be, instead of sharing any valid critiques or criticisms, should you choose to. Since you've said something about it, you didn't share anything about her policies, about how you feel or what you think about the way she's occupied any spaces. You just boiled her down to something she's not, nor has she ever been. And it's wild. You got the overtly racist white people who light the torches and pitchforks and will actively and directly say or insinuate that black, brown, indigenous people and people of color are less than human. But then you got us. Shit like this, where it's like, no, black, brown, indigenous people and people of color, they should be treated like human beings, but not too much. Not to the point where I gotta think about what I'm saying first. I don't know. Wild. We're still doing that.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the...
White leftists need to face reality as to their standards and why they aren't voting for Kamala Harris. Because we had no problem sending a begrudging vote for Crime Bill Biden in 2020, but for some reason we now suddenly have a problem with that when it comes to Kamala Harris. And let's not pretend like Kamala Harris's record as prosecutor, district attorney, and attorney general was anywhere near as harmful as Biden's crime bill. Keep in mind, I am still voting third party this election. I am going to be voting in California, and that is going to be a lock for whoever the Democratic nominee is, and that's likely going to be Kamala Harris. I am doing so because I am trying to send a message about Gaza. I am not doing so because of some cop versus felon narrative, even though that's what Kamala is marketing her campaign as. Meanwhile, somewhere like Pennsylvania is going to be a whole lot more crucial in the election against Donald Trump. I might even encourage Pennsylvania voters to vote for Kamala Harris because of that. Biden was never going to win, but Kamala Harris can. That is why leftists need to be a lot more strategic and intentional with the way that they are engaging with this election.
You need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the cop...
If you follow me and have been in my lives, you know I've talked about creators like this. I've talked about them a lot. And I'm not going to mention specific creators that I've discussed on here, but I will tell you that there are plenty of white ally creators on this app, and if you're a mutual of mine, I guarantee you follow some of them because we've had conversations about it and how they're problematic, in my opinion. And I do this not just from looking from the outside in. I have literally interacted with these individuals on multiple occasions in other lives that I have been in, and I have not identified myself. I haven't told them who I was, and so what they saw was just a regular white girl. That's it. A regular white girl who didn't know what she was talking about, who thought she knew stuff. And I just let it go. I just let them think what they wanted to think because I had already pegged them for who I thought they were. They are white allies who use this platform to make money on the black community. That's not an ally. That's taken advantage. Their entire community that follows them are the black community. It's not white people. White people aren't following them to learn, because when white people come into that space, there are two different types of white people. There's the white people who are obviously racist and horrible people. Those people need to automatically be blocked. That's not a safe space. They automatically need to be blocked. We don't have time for them. They cannot be educated, right? They're just spewing hate, and why are you giving them a platform to talk about it? And then there's the other type of person. Those are the ones that don't have the same education, but genuinely want to learn. And then they come up there because we forget that in the United States, Black history is not taught accurately. It's not taught thoroughly or accurately in any capacity. And a lot of people in this country forget that there are so many individuals who are not educated on the facts. And they come into a space and they genuinely want to know. They genuinely want to learn. And those creators tear them apart. Just anything they say. I listened to a live earlier today, and the woman had made a comment, and it honestly was completely neutral. But the creator recognized that this woman was agreeing with everything she said, and she wasn't any fun. She wasn't getting any rise out of her. And so she took the nuances of her words and she completely misconstrued them and painted her out to be something she wanted. And the girl just sat there and took it because she genuinely was trying to understand. But it didn't matter, because no matter how hard she tried, she was going to be the villain. Because that creator is not there to teach white people about Black history. That creator is there to tell Black people exactly what it is they want to hear and take their money and get views off of it. They are taking advantage of the situation. You need to stop supporting them. If you are a white person, you need to find a strong, amazing, intelligent Black creator on this app who educates. And there are so many of them. I follow so many fantastic women and men that are on this app that do this every single day. And they educate, and they're amazing, and their platforms are phenomenal, and you will learn so much. But there is no reason for you to follow a white man who calls himself an ally or a white woman who calls herself an ally who does not actually educate, who sits there and race baits and tears people apart simply to get money for entertainment purposes. That just causes more problems and causes more division and reinforces a stereotype that racists already have. I am telling you, stop supporting these individuals. They will eventually show their true colors, just like this one did.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote...
What's up, Patriot? My, how the tables have turned. It's pretty hilarious, because now you gotta vote for the felon instead of the prosecutor who's gonna lock up the felon. It's pretty crazy how that worked, huh? But you're terrified of Madam President, and I'm here for every second of it. I love this for you. I love this for all of you. It's a new energy in the party. It's unified. Let's go, Darwin. Lock them all up. Amen.
If you don't vote for the cop, you're not voting for the cop.
There are 1,000,001 things I want to say about this video and about this man, but there are a bunch of other creators who have ate his ass up, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to keep this short and simple. Fucking delete the video. Number 1. Number 2, just shut the fuck up. Number 3, please educate yourself before you speak, because where and when has Kamala ever been a fucking cop? And number 4, you then want to try to post videos about books you should read to make yourself look like, oh, you're so educated and you care because you spent time and money on these books that their spines aren't even bent. You have not read those fucking books. Anyway, we have yet another white man out here trying to tell people how to feel and what to do.
Anyways, you need to vote for a cop. And if you don't vote for the...
Take this shit down. Take this shit down and shut all the way the up. Can't say it in that manner because this video is going to get taken down. But maybe you'll listen to me. Maybe you'll listen to someone like me, because you've shown over the last couple of days listening's not your goddamn strong suit, especially when it comes to black folks. So maybe you'll listen to me. And maybe I could say it in a way that'll reach forward to you. Let me just close my alarm there. What were you trying to accomplish with that video? What point were you trying to make by trying to take the criticism of a black woman who's running for office and at the same breath try to make a joke, because nobody was laughing about what happened the last couple of days to what happened to Sonya Massey, which, by the way, it couldn't have killed you to say her name. So you try to take what happened to Sonya Massey and you're trying to take the criticism of Kamala Harris and you're trying to fusion them together into some shitty joke, which nobody's laughing, nobody, and you got reamed out for it. There's 13 bullets in the corpse. I'm not about to come up here and put the 14th one in. But what were you trying to do there? Tell me. When you say something insensitive about a person of color, especially black folks in America, and then those very particular black folks said, hey, this ain't it. It wasn't even that bad of a comment section. They really weren't being that bad to you or mean. All you had to do was apologize. The first thing you can do is listen. That is the biggest and most important step of unlearning the shit that you know. So what the fuck do? You double down, you triple down, and what does this motherfucker do? What do? You go, actually, my African Americans, I read this book about what it's like to be African American in America, and I think I should hold your hand and we should go along this journey together. What do you say, guys? You're trying to defend your fucking stupid ass comment by trying to educate black folks on what it's like to be black? And the fucking audacity to think that reading those books, which you never even read, did you see when you opened that book, it was like new car smell. It was like, I smelt that shit through the phone. Did you see the spine on those boys? Untouched, straight, immaculate, 10 out of 10 perfection. Not a speck of goddamn dust was on those books because you didn't read them. You did not read those books. Hey, I have Amazon Prime too. Trust me, that overnight shipping, it hits different when you really need it in a jam. But you're using your account just wrong. You should cancel that $12.99 a month. You are literally, and I genuinely mean this. This is some of the most out of touch shit I've ever seen on this app. And I've been on this stupid ass app for a while. So, hey, you obviously shown you don't like to listen to black folks, so maybe you'll listen to me for some reason. Maybe I could get through to you. White boy to fire mullet. It doesn't matter how many books you read that are made by Black Panthers. It doesn't matter how many books you read on Pan-Africanism. It don't matter how many books you read on the black experience in America and the way these authors are trying to portray their pain and how they're trying to undo the system. Black authors are great, but you cannot tokenize them as to defend your fucking arrogance, and you cannot teach black folks in America what it's like to be black as if they don't know every goddamn day and they don't know what those words mean. So please take it down. By the way, Kohl's is probably right down the street from you. Go there, return those books, and cancel your Amazon account.
Wow, I think the guy has been cooked well by these people because they've responded to him and called sense into him. This is not something that is light that somebody should use for political expediency. Imagine you are a family member of Sonya Massey and you find somebody taking advantage of that moment that is very, very sad for you and using it to make political statements. This should not be the case. While many people have always used such kind of unfortunate events to make political statements or even for political expediency, I do not think that for a moment this should be excused. The question of police brutality has bedeviled the United States for quite some time. It is not something that is new. Many people have died at the hands of policemen and law enforcement agencies, but we must call out where wrong things have happened, and also we must also be ready to address the root cause of this issue. You know, studies have shown that a black person is highly likely to be killed by a white cop as compared to a white cop when handling another white person. And this comes from institutional systemic racism that has taken place over many years. This cannot be addressed with a got-you moment and try to really push it around. It is something that needs a structured approach so that everybody should be brought to the table and all communities involved should really find an amicable solution that can address this long-running evil once and for all. You know, for example, it is stated that in the year 2023 was one of the deadliest years when it comes to police brutality because it is estimated that over 1,200 people were killed by cops and most of them were black people. So you were able to see the level of disparity that exists in that instance. And I think we know we have all different parties right now. We have the Democrats, we have the Republicans, but we should find a way through which all these political players can come together, find a strategy through which they can push their policies to the voters so that these policies can be understood and be addressed well. Many people did not like what the white guy has taken, and I also can say that for me it's kind of despicable, and I cannot think of a moment when somebody can take such kind of a situation and use it for things that do not matter at some point. Another thing that we cannot hear is also, if you look at Donald Trump, he himself has not taken advantage of that situation because on Wednesday when he attended the National Association of Black Journalists annual conference in Chicago, he was very specific and said that he does not know the exact case, but he saw something of that sort and did not like it at all. It didn't look good for him. While he has at some point supported the need to protect policemen from rogue individuals who tend to attack them out of no good reason, he's able to really understand that this situation was not good and political expediency should not be used at this moment. So all of these contenders who are coming out, they are ready to show themselves that they want to change the American systems, but it's all upon Americans to make their decision. The government is theirs. It's upon them to choose whom they want to lead them. So tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.